What if the most powerful tools for navigating your deepest emotions, for healing from trauma, or, just finding more peace, aren't found in a pill bottle?
Or even on a therapist's couch alone.
Exactly. What if they're right there, inside you? Your own incredible ability to create.
It sounds almost simple, doesn't it? Imagine turning pain into poetry.
Or stress into symphonies, yeah. Or anxiety into just expressive movement.
It does sound maybe a bit like wishful thinking, I suppose.
A little. But that's exactly what we're getting into today, isn't it?
It is, because honestly, for centuries, people have intuitively used creativity across all sorts of cultures.
Right, to make sense of things, to express what you can't really put into words sometimes.
Exactly. And the exciting part now is that science, modern science, is finally catching up. It's giving us real, compelling evidence.
Evidence that this isn't just like a nice cultural thing.
No, it's fundamental, a pathway to, well, greater well-being.
So it really is much more than just a hobby.
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we are diving deep into this profound connection. It's often overlooked, I think, between creativity and emotional well-being.
And it's truly transformative. We've gathered some really compelling research and some incredible real-world stories, too.
Stories that show how engaging in things like art, music, writing, dance, even drama.
Yeah.
It isn't just something you do on a whim.
No, it's a potent pathway, scientifically backed even, for healing, building resilience.
And just cultivating a richer, more regulated emotional life.
And let's be clear, our mission here today in this deep dive, it isn't about turning you into, a master artist or some famous performer.
Right, not at all.
Far from it. What we want to do is shed light on how you can tap into that power, the innate power of your own imagination.
For profound personal transformation, it doesn't matter what your skill level is or if you think you're talented or not.
Exactly. We're talking about the power of everyday creativity, what researchers call a little c or mini c creativity.
That spark that's inside all of us, really, just waiting to be used.
Waiting to be acknowledged and engaged.
Okay, so let's start with the foundational science, because this is where it gets really interesting.
It does. For a long time, the common thinking in a lot of the early research, it pointed one way.
Happiness sparks creativity. Right? If you feel good, you're more likely to be creative.
Seemed intuitive. Feeling good, feeling open, expansive. Ideas flow more freely, less constrained by stress or negativity.
That makes sense. That direction, well-being, promoting creativity, that's pretty well established.
Definitely. You see it all the time. Artists doing great work when they're in flow, feeling joyful.
But what's really fascinating, and hasn't gotten as much attention until recently, is the other direction.
The arrow pointing the other way. What if the act of being creative actually makes you happier?
That idea that creating itself contributes to your emotional state. That's what the newer research wanted to figure out.
Right, shifts the whole perspective.
And crucially, they weren't just looking at, like, a fleeting good mood.
No, the focus was much broader, on something called subjective well-being.
Which isn't just momentary happiness. Explain that a bit more.
Well, subjective well-being is more holistic. It looks at both the positive and the negative stuff in your life.
Okay.
Plus your overall satisfaction with how things are going, your sense of purpose, contentment. It's the bigger picture.
So you might feel happy sometimes, but if you're also stressed or feel like life lacks meaning.
Right. Your subjective well-being reflects that whole complex reality, not just the ups.
Got it. The full picture.
So to dig into this, researchers in Malaysia did a series of studies. First to see if there was a link, then to explore if creativity causes well-being.
Okay, so what did they do first?
They started with cross-sectional studies, basically taking a snapshot in time. They had two groups.
Hundreds of people, right?
Yeah. One group was 256 undergrad students. The other was 291 working adults.
A wide range of people then. Different ages, life stages, mostly Chinese participants, you mentioned?
That's right. Ages from 18 up to 64 across the two groups.
And what did they ask them?
It was pretty straightforward, actually. They just filled out questionnaires, rated their own creativity, how stressed they felt, and their overall subjective well-being.
So self-reported stuff, how they saw themselves.
Exactly. And the findings were really consistent across both the students and the working adults.
What did they find?
A clear, significant, positive relationship. People who rated themselves as more creative also tended to report higher subjective well-being.
Okay, that's interesting. But did things like stress affect that?
That's the key part. The link held true even when they statistically controlled for things like self-perceived stress, age, gender.
So even accounting for stress, more creativity seemed linked to feeling better overall.
Yes. It suggested this connection applies across different life stages. Strong preliminary support.
But like you said, that's a snapshot, a correlation. It doesn't prove creativity causes the good feelings.
Exactly. That's the classic correlation-causation issue. Maybe happier people are just more likely to do creative things and see themselves that way.
So they needed an experiment to nail down cause and effect.
Right. And that's what they did next. This is where it gets really compelling.
What happened in the experiment?
They got 68 undergrads, again, mostly Chinese final year students, split them into two groups.
Okay.
Half of them did something called a creativity priming task. It's not teaching creativity. It's more like nudging it, getting the creative juices flowing.
How did they do that?
They did some exercises, then tackled a divergent thinking test, Guilford's alternative uses test.
Oh, the one where you list uses for an object, like a brick or something.
Exactly. In this case, a stone or rock.
Yeah.
5 minutes to list as many unusual uses as possible. A classic creativity measure.
And the other group, the control group.
They didn't get the priming task beforehand. They just did the test cold.
And did the priming actually work? Did it make them more creative on the test?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
The group that got primed came up with way more uses. Their average score was over 20. The control group was under 11.
Wow, so it definitely got their minds working more creatively.
No doubt. It put them in a more flexible, imaginative state.
But here's the million-dollar question. Did it affect how they felt?
Yes. That's the crucial finding. After the tasks, and again controlling for their stress levels, the participants who'd been primed for creativity, they reported significantly higher subjective well-being scores.
Doubt. So just being nudged into thinking more creatively made them feel better about their lives overall.
That's what the data showed. It wasn't about their starting mood. It was the act of engaging creatively that lifted their well-being.
That's huge. So it's not just happy people are creative.
Creative acts themselves can actually make you feel better, promote well-being.
The experimental design really nails that causality, doesn't it?
It provides really strong evidence for it. It flips the script on how we often think about creativity and mental health.
It suggests creativity isn't just a luxury or something that happens when you're already feeling good.
Exactly. It's a tool, something you can actively use to cultivate well-being, like exercise or mindfulness.
An active engagement with this power we all have inside us. That's a really different way to look at it.
It really is.
Okay, so moving from that foundational science, let's look at the real-world impact. How does this play out in people's lives, especially when they're facing really tough stuff?
Yeah, and a powerful example is expressive writing, particularly for people dealing with trauma or grief.
Childhood trauma and grief. Yeah. That's incredibly difficult territory.
It is. Experiencing loss or trauma as a young person, it's profoundly isolating. It leaves you confused, ashamed, often unable to even express what happened.
Like you're trapped with it inside.
Exactly. And what's deeply concerning is that certain groups are hit harder. Youth of color, kids in poverty, they face trauma disproportionately.
And then often lack access to help, right? I remember seeing a stat.
Yeah, the ACOMA project report from 2022, nearly 30% of youth of color who needed mental health treatment didn't get it. It's a huge gap.
And for kids caught in the system, like foster care or juvenile justice.
The numbers are devastating. One report found 90%, 90%, had lost a close loved one, nearly 2/3 through violence.
That's staggering. And without an outlet for that pain.
It often turns inward or outward in destructive ways. Like joining gangs, the report found about a quarter did that right after their loss, looking for belonging or maybe protection.
A tragic cycle. Traditional therapy might not even be an option or feel right for them.
Precisely. And that's where initiatives like the Pongo Poetry Project come in. They offer a different kind of lifeline.
Tell us about Pongo. What do they do?
They run trauma-informed poetry workshops right inside places like juvenile detention centers and residential psychiatric hospitals in the Seattle area.
So meeting kids right where they are in these really tough environments.
Yes. Their mission is simple but profound. Offer safe, totally judgment-free spaces where these young people can finally start to articulate their suffering on their own terms.
That sounds incredibly important. Just having a space where you won't be judged.
It's huge. Skilled writing mentors build real connections. It's not just about poetry mechanics, it's about rapport, helping youth find their voice, express who they are, what they've seen.
Bearing witness to their stories.
Exactly. Their pain, their hopes, stories often silenced by trauma. giving them a chance to finally be heard.
That must be incredibly powerful to witness.
There are amazing stories. One Pongo mentor, Harley Tonelli, talked about a young guy who insisted, "I'm not a writer," absolutely refused the label.
Okay.
But then in that supportive space, he just started writing. And Tonelli said he proceeded to write some of the most astonishingly beautiful poetry I've ever read, dedicated to his big brother.
Wow. So it unlocks something hidden inside him, a way to express that love and grief.
A catharsis, turning that internal turmoil into something tangible, something beautiful even.
Do we have an example of a poem?
We do. This one's called A Wishing World, from a youth writer at Echo Glen Children's Center. It's raw heartbreaking.
Read a bit of it.
It starts, "T, when I look into your eyes, I just see myself. Brother, I got you stuck in my head inside this cell." And later, "I remember that night at the park. When I remember that night, it makes me want to cry. We used to always hoop, but since I lost you, I've been feeling traumatized."
So visceral. The pain is right there.
It is, but then amazingly, it shifts. It ends. "Listen, there is more to life than the eye can see. Life is short, so give it the most there is to give."
Incredible. From that raw pain to this
Yeah.
resilience, hope almost.
That's the transformation self-expression can bring, processing the unspeakable, creating a narrative of survival.
And what did the kids themselves say about the experience?
One youth put it so powerfully, "I felt relieved talking about things through writing that I didn't usually talk about."
So finding safety to speak the unspoken.
Yes. And then they added, being in such a horrible place and then having all these joyful people come in to help us was kind of like an ambulance coming to a car wreck.
Wow. Like being rescued, seen, validated.
A profound statement of healing.
And this isn't just feel-good stories, right? There's science behind expressive writing, too.
Absolutely. Dr. Ted Rainierson, a clinical psychiatrist, developed something called restorative retelling. It combines this kind of Pongo-style writing with stress reduction techniques.
And did it work?
His research showed significant drops in depression and PTSD symptoms among survivors of violent deaths. Measurable clinical improvement.
So the act of writing, of shaping the narrative, it actually changes the brain's response.
It seems to. And Pongo's own data backs this up. 74% of their youth writers discuss something they'd never shared before.
That speaks volumes about the safety they create.
It really does. And 98% felt better afterwards, immediate relief.
98%.
And critically, 92% said they plan to keep writing after just one session.
So it gives them a tool, a coping mechanism they can take with them.
Exactly. A healthy personal tool for future hardship. It interrupts that cycle of turning to self-destructive things, builds long-term resilience. It reroutes those response patterns.
Amazing. Okay, so from the quiet power of words, let's shift gears completely. Let's talk about sound, music.
Oh, music. It's not just background noises. It hits us directly, physiologically, emotionally.
Totally. Think about how a fast song gets you energized, focused maybe.
Right. Enhances alertness. Upbeat music lifts your mood, makes you feel positive.
And then slower music. It just calms everything down.
Yeah.
Quiets the mind, relaxes your muscles.
Releases that daily stress. It's like a direct line to our nervous system, almost bypassing conscious thought.
And there's real science to this, right? The whole beats per minute thing.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Research shows music around 60 beats per minute, that's roughly a resting heart rate, can actually make your brain waves sync up with the beat.
Sync up? What does that mean?
It means your brain starts producing more alpha brainwaves. Those are the ones 8 to 14 hertz that are dominant when you're relaxed but awake, calm, peaceful alertness.
The mindful relaxation zone, not stressed out beta waves.
Exactly. And if you want to go deeper towards sleep, that's delta waves. Around 5 hertz, listening to calming music for a good chunk of time, like 45 minutes while relaxed, can really help induce that state.
It helps the brain downshift.
It does.
Yeah.
And researchers at Stanford even said listening to music can change brain function potentially as much as medication.
That's a huge statement.
It is. It highlights how accessible and powerful music is as a stress reduction tool, available to almost everyone, anytime.
So if it's that powerful, what kind of music works best for relaxation? Is it just like spa music?
Well, that might work for some, but the research actually points to some perhaps surprising genres. Traditional and instrumental stuff can be highly effective.
Like what?
Think Native American flute music, Celtic melodies, Indian stringed instruments like the sitar or veena, drumming rhythms, other types of flutes.
Interesting. And you mentioned these can work even if they're moderately loud. That seems counterintuitive.
It does, but it's thought that the specific frequencies or rhythmic patterns in these instruments might engage deeper parts of our auditory system. They bypass the analytical brain.
So it's less about volume, more about the structure of the sound, creating a settling feeling.
Kind of like that, yeah. Nature sounds to rain, waves, thunder can be very calming, especially mixed with things like light jazz, classical, particularly the slow largo movements.
Or easy listening. But you said something crucial earlier.
Yes. The absolute key is personal connection. You have to actually like the music for it to relax you.
Right. If you force yourself to listen to something irritating, it'll just make you tense.
Exactly. Defeats the whole purpose. Your brain needs that resonance, not just a beat count.
That's so important. It's not one size fits all. And feeling relaxed for music doesn't necessarily mean feeling sleepy, does it?
Not at all. It's more about being in a calm, optimized state. Brain and body relaxed, ready to function well, but with clarity and space. Enhancing well-being, not just inducing sleep.
Okay, can you give us some examples? What does this sound bath music sound like?
Sure. There's stuff like Heaven and Earth Spirits by Anil and Bradfield contemporary piano, often with nature visuals.
Nice.
Echoes of Time by C. Carlos Nakai, that's that serene Native American flute sound. The Winding Path by Ken Kern, beautiful, highly rated piano.
Okay.
For classical Indian, Cure Deep Meditation by Gayatri Govindarajan on the Veena is amazing. And Angels of Venice, that's harp, flute, cello, very ethereal.
What about something with more rhythm?
Spirit Vision by David and Steve Gordon uses Native American-style drumming, which can be really grounding and meditative.
And wasn't there one specifically designed for relaxation?
Ah, yes. Weightless by Marconi Union. That one's fascinating. It was literally engineered harmonies, rhythms, bass lines specifically to slow heart rate, lower blood pressure, and reduce cortisol.
Music designed as therapy. That's incredible.
It really shows the power of sound to directly influence our physiology.
Okay, so we've covered writing, music. Let's move into the body itself. Dance movement therapy, DMT.
Yes, another incredibly potent pathway. DMT harnesses that undeniable mind-body connection.
It's not just dancing for fun or exercise, though.
No, it's a psychotherapeutic approach.
Yeah.
It uses movement to help integrate our emotional, social, cognitive, physical selves, basically moving through your emotions.
Embodying feelings.
Yeah.
When words aren't enough.
Exactly. It helps boost confidence, self-awareness, ease anxiety, guiding people to better ways of regulating their emotions.
And it's done by trained professionals, right?
Absolutely critical. Certified dance movement therapists lead the sessions, ensuring it's ethical, safe, and effective. It's structured therapy, respecting the body's wisdom.
So where is DMT used? What are the results like?
The applications are incredibly diverse. For kids with anxiety, for example, a 2022 study found therapists use different approaches, helping kids move out of stuck states, creating boundaries, building confidence, integrating experiences.
And mirroring techniques were important.
Very. The therapist mirroring the child's movements helps build rapport non-verbally. It helps kids explore and make meaning without pressure, which measurably reduce their anxiety.
What about for older groups? College students?
Yes, DMT's been shown to enhance emotional intelligence in college students through specific models integrating movement, emotional regulation skills, and EI principles. Studies show concrete benefits like better body awareness, physical control, less muscle tension, all linked to emotional states.
And adults with anxiety?
A 2018 study using authentic movement, which is about spontaneous movement, found significant drops in anxiety and increased emotional expression over just 10 sessions.
That shows the power of sticking with it.
Definitely. And for depression, a group DMT format over 10 weeks, combined with solution-focused therapy, showed significant reductions in symptoms using the Beck Depression Inventory. So it's a targeted, effective intervention.
Does it work in really challenging settings?
Yes, impressively so. A 5-day DMT program in German prisons led to notable improvements in subjective well-being among incarcerated men. Shows its versatility.
Wow. And you mentioned something about dance versus other exercise.
Right. One study compared dance exercise to cycling. Dance came out superior not just for emotional regulation, but also for activating the prefrontal cortex.
The brain's executive control center.
Exactly. Planning, decision-making, impulse control. So dance seems to engage the brain in a uniquely complex way, beyond just physical exertion. It's a holistic brain-body workout.
Fascinating. What about in schools?
School-based DMT has shown great results. Enhanced emotional and behavioral well-being, better life functioning, even better sleep for kids.
And the effects last.
Yes, benefits were sustained up to 6 months later. Kids reported better self-expression, emotional regulation, confidence, stress reduction, relationship skills. It gives them real tools.
So across the board, DMT shows consistent positive impacts.
Definitely. Significant reductions in depression, anxiety, tension, boosts in well-being, positive feelings, relaxation. It builds effective coping skills.
And the effects stick around.
Yeah.
Reduced cortisol, better self-awareness, months later.
Right. It builds lasting internal resources. And interestingly, participants seem to prefer smaller groups and longer sessions.
Suggesting quality and depth matter for therapeutic impact.
Exactly. More personalized, intensive interventions seem more effective.
Okay, that brings us to another really fascinating creative approach. Drama therapy.
Yes, combining storytelling, role-playing, physical expression.
So what exactly is drama therapy?
It's the intentional use of drama and theater techniques, acting, improv, storytelling, puppetry, masks to promote physical, mental, and emotional health.
And where is it used?
All sorts of places: prisons, hospitals, schools, community centers, even businesses, for a range of issues like schizophrenia, depression, and really powerfully for PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. To understand how drama therapy helps, maybe we should quickly touch on what PTSD involves.
Good idea. PTSD symptoms generally fall into 4 clusters. First, intrusive memories, flashbacks, nightmares, really distressing reactions to reminders.
Okay.
Second, avoidance, trying desperately to avoid thoughts, feelings, places, people connected to the trauma, leads to isolation.
Makes sense.
Third, negative changes in thinking and mood. Hopelessness, memory problems, feeling numb, losing interest, relationship difficulties.
And fourth.
Changes in physical and emotional reactions. Being easily startled, always on guard, sleep problems, concentration issues, maybe aggression, guilt, shame. In kids, it can look like reenacting trauma in play or having scary dreams.
And trauma physically changes the brain, doesn't it?
Profoundly. Key areas are affected. The amygdala, the fear center, becomes hyperactive. Overreacts to potential threats.
Sees danger everywhere.
Pretty much. The hippocampus, involved in memory, can shrink or function poorly, especially with high cortisol from chronic trauma. That affects memory clarity, feeling stuck in the past.
And the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part.
Its ability to regulate the amygdala to calm the fear response gets impaired. This can really change personality and reactions, more impulsivity, aggression, trouble managing emotions. Remember Phineas Gage?
Vaguely the railroad worker.
Yeah, massive prefrontal cortex damage completely changed his personality. Shows how vital that area is for regulating behavior. Trauma can have similar, though less extreme, impacts.
So traditional PTSD treatments like CBT are valuable, but they have limitations.
They do. Some older methods risked re-traumatization, while just reliving the trauma could be overwhelming. It's a tricky balance.
So how does drama therapy navigate that?
It does something unique. It blends the positive aspects of both avoidance and approach methods.
How so?
It uses fantasy and role play, allowing people to re-experience or reenact aspects of the trauma with a guide that's the approach. But critically, it creates distance using characters, metaphors, symbolic actions.
So you can look at it more objectively. That's the avoidance part.
Kind of, yes. It provides both exposure to the trauma and containment, making it safer and often more effective, minimizing re-traumatization risk.
What are the core tools it uses?
Exploration, imagination, imitation, play. It creates this unique reality of its own, a safe space to process difficult things.
And the therapists are trained in both theater and therapy.
Yes, they use dramatic interaction to reach therapeutic goals. The physical space is important too, with clear rules to keep people grounded while allowing safe, creative expression.
And it's adaptable.
Highly. Exercises can be molded to fit individual or group needs as they move through healing. For kids, maybe using objects or props to build a story about themselves.
Offering lots of freedom, realistic or fantasy.
And giving therapists a gentle way to see what's going on emotionally.
Are there concerns, maybe with adolescents, about distorting memories through play, especially if trauma has already affected memory?
That's a valid question. Adolescent brains are developing, and cortisol from trauma does impact the hippocampus and memory.
Right.
But trauma often makes kids feel stuck. Drama therapy helps release endorphins, lower stress. It uses imagination and play, which are natural languages for young people.
So it feels safer, more familiar?
Often, yes, it boosts self-expression, confidence, allows that physical and verbal release of pent-up emotions. It activates the prefrontal cortex, moving beyond just fight or flight.
Helping them process what feels too big or dangerous to just talk about.
Exactly. Externalizing the internal world.
Let's hear some real-life stories. They really bring it home. the Hubbard House program.
Right. A high school drama program worked with kids 4 to 12 years old at a shelter for abused women and children. These kids had seen and experienced terrible things.
How were they initially?
Very withdrawn, distant, really afraid of touch, especially from men or boys.
Understandable.
But through drama games, warm-ups, acting out scenes from favorite books, creating little plays together, they slowly built trust. The high school volunteers created a safe container.
And what was the transformation?
It was amazing. By just the third week, these kids felt safe enough to hug the male instructors, something unthinkable at the start.
Wow. Shows how drama therapy can create safety, rebuild trust, reduce that profound isolation, even in really tough circumstances.
It really does. Then there's NAR's research using vignettes for sexual assault survivors with PTSD.
Yeah, less about Janet.
Janet, 45, a teacher, rape survivor, she used a courtroom vignette, playing herself, pleading her case against her attacker.
How did that help?
She finally voiced years of repressed anger and frustration. She said she felt powerful for the first time in a decade. She even physically confronted a symbolic representation of him with the pillow tears and laughter pouring out.
A huge release, reclaiming her power.
Absolutely. And Debbie, 40, survivor of childhood molestation by her father, couldn't even talk about him.
What did she do in therapy?
She played an outsider figure, saving her 7-year-old self in a vignette. This allowed her to finally speak her feelings directly to her father, portrayed safely by another patient.
A confrontation that couldn't happen in real life.
Exactly. It started her on a path towards attempted forgiveness and improved, though still distant, relations with him. It created a space for necessary healing that reality couldn't offer.
Incredible. But the impact isn't just personal, is it? You mentioned societal change.
Yes. Zaina Dakash's work in Lebanese prisons is mind-blowing. She used theater with male prisoners, building community, enabling expression.
And their performance, 12 Angry Lebanese.
It wasn't just a play. It highlighted huge systemic problems, prisoners waiting years for sentencing, no sentence reduction for good behavior.
And it actually had an effect.
A direct effect. The public awareness and pressure led the Lebanese government to pass a law in 2009 allowing sentence reductions. The play changed the law.
That's unbelievable.
And she didn't stop there. She worked with female prisoners, many jailed for killing abusive husbands because there were no domestic violence protections.
And their production.
Again, shone a light on their plight, the systemic failure. It directly contributed to Lebanon passing a law in 2014 protecting family members from domestic violence.
So drama therapy, embodying these problems, bringing them to light. It can heal individuals and change society.
A powerful testament. Art as a force for justice, not just healing.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's pull together these threads. Writing, music, dance, drama. What's the common ground here?
Across all of them, you see these universal principles for emotional processing, right?
Absolutely. There's the power of self-expression itself, getting what's inside out.
The critical need for safe, judgment-free spaces. Healing needs safety.
And just that fundamental human ability to process tough emotions through imagination, transforming raw experience into something meaningful.
These creative outlets give voice to what might stay stuck, repressed, or acted out harmfully. They allow perspective, meaning-making, moving forward.
And doing that gives you a sense of control back, doesn't it? Empowerment through agency.
Totally. Whether it's the youth writing that poem, someone choosing music to calm down, expressing anger through dance, or reenacting trauma to reclaim power.
Creativity puts you back in the driver's seat of your internal world.
Exactly. You shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active participant in your own healing and growth. You're the author, the conductor, the dancer, the protagonist, actively shaping your story.
And the key thing for everyone listening, the big takeaway, this isn't about becoming a professional artist.
Not at all. The research highlights mini creativity, those personal aha moments, new insights.
And little creativity, just everyday creative acts.
Right. Recognizing and nurturing that spark within you, whatever form it takes.
It could be journaling, even just a few lines, doodling on a call.
Singing in the shower, taking a different route home, finding a new way to tackle a daily problem.
Playing with kids, building something, arranging flowers. These small, consistent acts.
They add up. These everyday creative moments can profoundly impact your emotional regulation, how you cope with stress, your overall well-being. It's about weaving creativity into life.
Not saving it for special occasions or thinking it's only for the talented.
It's a fundamental human capacity we can all harness.
So the evidence we've looked at today, it's really clear, isn't it? Engaging your creativity isn't just a nice pastime.
No, it's fundamental, a scientifically backed pathway to better subjective well-being, stronger emotional regulation, deep personal healing.
It lets you transform that internal turmoil into outward expression. Reclaim your story. Build resilience.
In ways you might not have imagined.
So here's a final thought for you to take away, something to mull over.
Consider this. If the simple act of creation, writing, moving, singing, playing, can literally change brain function, lower stress hormones, help us process the deepest grief and trauma.
What untapped reservoirs of emotional strength, of self-discovery might you unlock?
Just by giving yourself permission to play, to imagine, to move, to write, without judgment, without that pressure to be perfect.
How might embracing your own inherent creativity not just heal your past, but actually fundamentally reshape your future?
Opening up new pathways to peace, to purpose, and maybe to profound well-being.